I just point to the logo on my chest and tell them, Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, hey. Hit it up hard, hit it with strike. From the national anthem to the bottom of the night. I'm in Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. We should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Talking Friars. The Padres season is over. They lose to the Cubs in 3 games in this wild card series. Score of 3-1, and obviously not in a great mood. Kind of speechless. This offense again with Darvish on it. Now Darvish, didn't do his job good enough. Obviously, he did not pitch as well as he did against the Dodgers. But again, Darvish starts this game in a winner-take-all, and the offense doesn't do its job. They score 1 run in this game, and it was a Jackson Merrill home run in the 9th inning when nobody believed that they were going to win this game. The game was over. And then in that 9th inning, the game wasn't over. And to have the home plate umpire make the worst call I've seen this season, and they should have had bases loaded with nobody out. And if the same things happen, then it could have been a tie game. But it wasn't because of one messed up call by the umpire. Because if you go look through that 9th inning, because I'll pull it up right now, you had the strikeout on the 3-2 pitch to Bogarts, which was not a strike. Merrill had just homered. So a runner should be on first. Ryan O'Hearn gets hit by a pitch. Bryce Johnson gets hit by a pitch. And you can say, well, Padres were given those runners. It's not like they earned that. I don't give a crap. It's that they got on base. And you have bases loaded there. You should. And Crony grounds out on a weak grounder where the third baseman has to come in. He's not going to throw the runner out at home there in a possible situation. So there's 1 run. Now it's 3-2. If Freddie Fermin got that meatball like he did and he pops out to center, that's a run. It's 3-3 right there. And then earlier in the game, when you got Jeremiah Estrada who comes into this game and doesn't use his fastball against Dansby and walks him in with the bases loaded. So, you add these little things up here, and the Padres could have won this game. But even let's go past the Estrada thing. Just go to that 9th inning. To have the bat taken out of his hands like that, the bat was taken out anyway because he was going to go to first base. But to not be able to get a walk there when it should have been a walk. We know if this happens 1 year from now, the Padres have bases loaded with nobody else. And what would have happened after that? We don't know. So no guarantee that they were going to tie this game or they were going to win this game. But when something like that happens, what are the repercussions for this home plate umpire? What's his name? DJ Rayburn? Yeah. What is he going to get fined? Does he get penalized and he's not going to be able to work another postseason series, or he's not going to get home plate for another postseason series? That's a season-altering call right there. And when players, right, if they're under contract and they don't have a good season, if they have a really bad moment, sometimes they don't get paid great the next year. They don't get a raise. So are these umpires going to be held accountable? When the players make a bad decision or they have a bad day, guess what? They have to go talk to the media. What do these umpires have to do? They don't have to do that. Get in front of reporters, get in front of a camera and say, I messed up that call. They don't have to do that. Where's the accountability there? So I just feel so much for Xander because he cares so much. And for him to just not be able to get first base there, it just freaking sucked. But I'm not going to act like that call was why the Padres lost this series. That's not why this Padres season is over. But it was very, very frustrating because that's clearly not a strike. And maybe it's Padres, Should have just played better before that. And okay, yeah, but a ball is a ball, a strike is a strike, and that was ball four. And the Padres didn't get that. Now, earlier in the game, when you've got, I think it was runners on first and second, and Nando flies out. Yeah. No, actually, it was second and third. Sorry. Second and third in the fifth inning. Freddie Fermin doubled to get it to second and third. And Nando flies out to right. He came up incredibly small in this series. 0 for 4. He struck out 3 times today. And on that umpire view cam on the strikeout, I forget who was pitching, but it was a pitch on that was inside, and it was almost going to hit him, and he swings at it. From the umpire view, I can see how, like, in the split decision there, that looks like that's a pitch middle in, and you can hit that, pull that down the line for a double or something like that. I understand that. So I'm not trying to act like baseball is easy. But when you get paid that much money and you're the leadoff hitter and you're one of the stars of this league, we're going to have high expectations for you. And it's a results-based business. And bottom line is, you did not do your job in this series. Sure, had a great catch yesterday, did have a hit, was big in manufacturing that first run yesterday, but it's a series. It's not just about one game. And overall, wasn't good enough. Manny overall wasn't good enough. I know he had the homer yesterday, but today, 0 for. And I think there were runners on that ground ball to Dansby, and we'll get to the Cubs defensively, obviously. But you had a breaking ball low and away outside the zone. You're swinging and rolling over. Like, what are we doing? That whole postseason thing about Manny, like, that's probably going to continue to follow him. And in a results-based business, like, we're gonna look at how far has Manny taken this Padres team. All right, to the NLCS in 2022. That feels like a long time ago. And coming after this season and just what has happened this season, I have that same thought that I had, I think, after last year, that 2024 was the year. That was the chance. It felt like this could have been another chance because I felt confident. I would have been confident going into that Milwaukee Brewers series. And then Padres Phillies or Padres Dodgers, whatever would have happened there, they would have had their fighting chance. But last year was the chance. You had the Dodgers right there. Darvish delivered. And you choke that series away. And you go 24 scoreless innings. And obviously that is the team that ends up going and winning the entire thing. You had Tanner Scott in that bullpen. You had Robert Suarez. And this year, you had Jason Adam. This year, you had a very talented bullpen as well. Like, you have Mason Miller, who somehow didn't pitch today. Explain that one to me. Because you can't. You can't sit there and be like, well, if they would have gotten the lead, Mason Miller would have pitched. The season's on the line. Have David Morgan pitch if you have the lead. I don't care. I know David Morgan didn't allow any runs. And this isn't like a personal attack on him. But I want Mason Miller pitching in our last game of the season. And I know he pitched a lot these last couple days, reliever-wise, and the load that he had yesterday. But you got to put him in that game. And it's not the reason why the Padres lost. Again, David Morgan, like, he did his job. But that was another frustrating thing. So, like, this year, yeah, it had a talented bullpen, and there was some talent, but there were injuries. There were some big injuries. Last year, you had the Dodgers. You had them right there. And it's not a guarantee that you're ever going to be in that situation again. So it definitely feels like last year was the year if the Padres were ever going to win the World Series. But we do have AJ Preller, at least for now. There has been some talk in the recent days about AJ Preller, his status, and what this series could mean for him in the future. I'm going to say this right now. AJ Preller's not the problem. AJ Preller should not be fired. He's got, I think, one more year left on his contract. If the Padres let go of AJ Preller, whether that's Eric Grutner influencing this decision, who on that letter that he wrote earlier this year didn't include AJ Preller somehow. Like, that's disrespectful. If it's John Seiler that makes this decision, whoever is making this decision, you let go of AJ Preller, you should probably hand this off to somebody else to run this team then, as an ownership group. Because that would just be absolute stupidity. He's literally the reason why you're in this spot of selling the ballpark out every night. He puts together this roster. And I know there's been some bumpy times, and he would admit that too. But he can't control that Ramon Laureano got hurt. He couldn't control Joe Musgrove got hurt in the postseason last year and had to miss this year. He couldn't control Jason Adam got hurt. What he did and what he could control was putting a postseason caliber and a team that could make a run if things fall their way. He put that roster together. He did his job. This isn't on AJ Preller. He has stars on this team. He has complimentary guys on this team. He had no other bullpen I'd rather have. He constructed that bullpen. And when the Padres needed bats before the deadline, he went and got bats. And the Ramon Laureano move was one of the best moves in the deadline, including Mason Miller as well. Like, that's another one that was great. And Ryan O'Hearn had his moments. Like, Freddie Fermin actually did pretty good in this wild card series offensively. He did his job. The Padres had holes. He went out and filled those holes before the trade deadline. And you can never question how much he wants to win. You cannot say, oh, yeah, it doesn't work that hard. Oh, doesn't really want to go for it this year. He's always going for it. That guy is the hardest working person in the league. The guy barely sleeps. When the season is over, he goes right back to work and is in Japan scouting or, finding a way to get better for next year. The guy doesn't stop. And whoever you bring in, if it's not AJ Preller, I guarantee you that person will not work as hard as AJ Preller. And I just can't see how you're going to find someone that wants to win for San Diego and for this franchise more than AJ. And I think another question the Padres need to ask themselves, would another team go swoop up AJ Preller immediately if they let him go? The answer is yes. And I think you should ask that about a lot of things. It's a pretty good indicator of what your decision should be when it comes to these sort of things. Do what your opponents don't want you to do. Would other owners want you to fire AJ Preller? Yes, they would, because that would mean that he's available for them to go get, because they know how brilliant he is. I hope that this ownership group, whoever makes this decision, I hope that they understand how good the Padres do have it with AJ Preller right now, and that the grass is not always greener on the other side. Just because you haven't made it, sometimes that's not the GM's fault. How about it's the players on the field that have track records of performing, but then they don't don't do that in the biggest moments. Or sometimes there are injuries and you can't control it. Sometimes there's an umpire who makes a terrible call that you can't control. So I don't think that AJ Preller should be penalized for that. This is 4 postseason appearances in 6 years. It's back-to-back 90-win seasons. And you could argue that it should have been more, but that's not AJ Preller's fault either. Back-to-back 90-win seasons hasn't happened in this franchise's history. Back-to-back 90-win seasons doesn't happen if AJ Preller isn't the GM of this team. I firmly believe that. So, yes, I will be really, really pissed if AJ Preller does not remain with the Padres. Because he wants to. And just go listen to what Manny says about him. After the Padres clinched a postseason spot, the words that Manny had about AJ, go back and listen to that. And that should tell you everything. So, I had to get that off my chest because I have heard some people talking about AJ, and I think the Athletic put out a piece. They did, and then at the end there was some stuff on AJ's future, and I'm just seeing that, and I'm like, they better not do that. That would be stupidity for them to let go AJ. All right. As for some other things in this game, obviously the offense, Tatis 0 for 4, Arise 0 for 4, Manny 0 for 3. So when your top three guys in your lineup combine to go 0 for 11 with 3 punch outs, I think that tells a lot of the story. And I know that Luis Arise got robbed multiple times by Dansby Swanson. This Cubs defense, it's elite. This infield defense, and you knew that going into this series. And the Cubs obviously built themselves around that to get ground ball pitchers and all that. So credit to the Cubs for that. I did not like that Luis Arise on the liner to Dansby. Dansby leaps, drops it. Arise wasn't running. Then he goes and sprints, and he gets thrown out. I can't do that when your season's on the line. You just keep running until you see Dansby start throwing it around the infield because he's out. Because you're out, you got to keep running there. But yeah, Luis Arise in this series, 182 average. Tatis in this series, 083 average. Manny in this series, a 100 average. Tatis looked lost at times. He looked swing happy, not letting some things come to him, and just it's the postseason, so he wants to make it happen, and I think that cost him a little bit. Manny and Tatis, like, they're here. Like, you can't. There's no questions about like what you do with them. Like, they're here. And I still want them on this team, obviously. Like, they're insanely talented players. They just didn't come through well enough in this series, and that's a big reason why they're going home. Luis Arise, his future, is he coming back to the Padres? I don't know. That's probably one of those where you got to see what the market's going to look like. How much would he make? Do you go fill something? Do you go fill the spot? And then you're like, nah, Luis Arise doesn't fit. What does Luis Arise want from a team? How much money per year, you know? Because I do think that he can help, but there were definitely some really frustrating things with Luis Arise and his at-bats. Whether it's giving away pitches, like his bat-to-ball skills, nobody can question it, obviously. But him just not swinging at pitches that are right down the middle and just giving pitchers strike one. I mean, how much damage could he have done if he would have just been a little more aggressive on those types of pitches? Later in the game today, it was a 3-1 count, like 3-0. Okay, he took it. I'm totally fine with that. That's what you're supposed to do. But 3-1 to take a meatball, and it was like he wasn't ready to swing the bat, and you were looking for a walk there instead of being like, all right, it's 3-1 now. He still has to pitch to me. Let me go attack this. Instead, he watches it, and then he swings at a pitch that's outside the strike zone and grounds out to Dansby, I think. So it's stuff like that. Like, a big question with him is going to be, how much is he going to want? What interest does he have around the league? Because he can still help you, but it definitely was a step backwards for Luis today, or this year, I would say, which was frustrating. It really was. Bogey, I'm proud of the way that he bounced back this season. He was one of the bright spots in this wild card series for the Padres. Gavin Sheets, Ryan O'Hearn, like, what are their futures? Crony's obviously here. No doubt this lineup needs more power. How are they going to find that? Is ownership going to spend to get the power? Or are they just going to do this 1 year stuff and hope that it works for that 1 year? Or are you going to spend money to go get someone that we know will give power to this offense? But will cost a good amount of money and will cost you multiple, like you're going to have to commit multiple years. You can't just get him with 1 year. And I don't know what the Padres books look like, obviously, but what I do see is there are 40,000 fans in the stands almost every night. And that's a lot of money coming in. I know that the TV deal, it's not great, but how much are the Padres making? Are they investing all of it back into this team? And obviously, AJ, like part of what makes him so great is he's been able to have limitations on him because there clearly were limitations in this offseason and before the deadline financially. So he's like, all right, then I'm going to deal what I can deal. Even if it's Leo DeVries, I'm going to deal what I can deal because I'm trying to win. So, Leo, go to the A's, and we got Mason Miller and JP Sears. I'm trying to win. I don't care what limitations are on me. I'm going to go try to make this happen. It's not going to be my fault if we don't win. That's for sure. So I have no doubt, like, regardless of any limitations on him, if he's here in the offseason, he's going to do his best to make this work. It may take more time than what we want. We may be sitting around for a while. But yeah, again, just goes back to AJ. Like, I can never question his want, his desire to bring this World Series here. It's just, if you want the best players, you're going to have to commit money. And there's money that's going to be coming off the books. Dylan Cease, Michael King, like, I don't know if they're going to be back. Would the Padres offer Dylan Cease the qualifying offer? Michael King, how much is he going to get from other teams? Like, how high are other teams on him? What I didn't understand today, Michael King pitches one inning, and then you have Robert Suarez warming up the next inning. Did they not have a plan here? Because obviously they didn't want to be losing, but it's like, why is Robert Suarez pitching in the fifth inning? I think it was the fifth inning when he pitched. Why is that even happening? Michael King looked really good when he came into this game. And you only allow him to go one inning. He struck out all three of his outs in that inning. In the fourth inning, all three were strikeouts. And then you bring Wandy into the game. Michael King couldn't have gotten those lefties out. I find that hard to believe. I don't want to rain too much on the pitching and managerial pitching decisions, like Mason Miller not pitching, because that was fine. Like, David Morgan did his job, or Michael King only pitching one inning, because at the end of the day, the Padres didn't score enough runs. But that ninth inning there, where the umpire DJ Rayburn screws up that call, I'm not saying it's like a guarantee that the stuff after that ends up happening as well, but like, you can't help but think that maybe that could have happened. And then we're talking about a tie game. Or Jeremiah Estrada, whoever's calling those pitches, get their head out of their you-know-what and call fastball. Because clearly Jeremiah in that situation wasn't locating his slider. And I think one of the other pitches he was throwing in that at-bat. But no, let's keep going with those, even though it's not working. Even though I'm not locating it. Because that makes sense. Yeah. And then later in the inning, he gets PCA ground out. What pitch? Fastball. Shocker. Oh for 8, the offense, with runners in scoring position. Left 8 guys on base. The Cubs were 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. And they also left 8 on base. So it's not like it was a big gap there. But it doesn't have to be a big gap. This is the postseason. Padres gave the Cubs a run there. Walking Dansby with the bases loaded. And then the home run allowed by Robert Suarez I tweeted during the game about Jason Adam and how that Jason Adam injury was definitely a season-changing injury. And obviously people were like, well, focus on the offense first. Jason Adams not hitting. Can he go hit a 2-run home run? Obviously people like not understanding the point. If Jason Adam was healthy, would Robert Suarez have been pitching in that situation? Would they have been trying to get more than 3 outs from Robert Suarez in that situation? Maybe it would have been Jason Adam in that spot, not Robert Suarez. Because Robert Suarez isn't used to pitching in that situation. Robert Suarez probably was a little uncomfortable there. Jason Adam will take the ball whenever you want. I'm not saying Suarez won't, because he obviously did here. This isn't Josh Hader that we're talking about. But I can't help but question what would have happened if it was Jason Adam. But that's one of those injuries that, AJ Preller can't control. Ramon Laureano, his injury. He was one of the best players on this team. And he gets hurt last series of the regular season, of course. And then you have Mike Schilt having Jose Iglesias pinch hit for Gavin Sheets, and then you have Bryce Johnson into the game. So it went from Ramon Laureano, one of your best players, helping this lineup score runs, to just multiple guys filling that left field spot in games. It was like Gavin Sheets at one point. It was like, yeah, Gavin Sheets, one of the best hitters on this team, and yeah, put him in there. That's one of the bats that you want up at the plate. But obviously, it just didn't happen the entire season. It only happened some of the season. And Gavin Sheets just hasn't been what he was there. But yeah, no Jason Adam, no Ramon Laureano. Those were huge blows to this team because it all has a chain effect. Ramon Laureano's healthy. Where does he slot in the lineup? Does that help break any lanes? Just having his bat, the guy had, I think, an OPS over 800 for sure when the Padres acquired him before the trade deadline. And the guy was great. Defensively, he had an arm, mentality-wise, just like straightforward, wants to win. And then last series of the regular season, he's out. So it's just one of those where, like at least the Cubs, they had Kyle Tucker. I know he wasn't playing field, but they had him with the calf issue. Padres didn't even have that luxury with Ramon Laureano. So, yeah, sucks. Feels like 2024, that was the year, and they're just not going to win. I really did like this matchup, too, with the Cubs. And then you got the Brewers next. Like, I wasn't afraid of the Brewers. But the offense. Game 1 and Game 2 combined, they scored 1 run. I think that's right. Sorry, they scored 2 runs. Lost 3-1 in Game 1. Lost 3-1 today. It obviously wasn't a highly there wasn't a ton of offense in this series. Like, I'm not acting like they should have scored 8 runs a game, but even if your bullpen's really good, you're playing a good team on that other side. And they had a really good home record in the regular season. The Padres had a poor road record. And you're dealing with injuries. You're not going to win games, very many games at least, in the postseason, scoring 1 run. And that 1 run today, again, the game was over. I don't think anyone was like, Oh yeah, we got a lot of optimism when Jackson Merrill hit that home run. Oh, it's not over yet. No, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Still just waiting on the ending, just waiting for the funeral for this season. Freaking hate this. 90-win team didn't get a home postseason game. All this talent, like you look at this lineup with this talent, and it's like I just can't help myself but look at the batting averages and everything. But where are the hits from these stars collectively in these 3 games? The runners in scoring position numbers just terrible. Cubs bullpen threw a perfect game against this offense in game 1. And then today, they scored no runs in the first 8 innings. And I'll give a shout out to the defense, particularly PCA in the first on Manny, Nico Horner at second, Dansby at short. They made some big plays. And, game 1, Dansby with the catch in the outfield, the diving stop, I think in the second inning, early in game 1, that saved a run. Like, sometimes the Padres did get unlucky, and they put some good balls in play there, and sometimes you tip your cap. Dansby today was just left and right grabbing balls. Whether it was a ball in that he had to come running in on and make the play, whether it was a huge double play up the middle where he takes it himself and gets it over there, whether it's knocking a ball down where he's leaping, knocks the ball down, Arise isn't running, throws him out at first. He made the plays. And defensively, like, the Padres weren't bad. I thought today that first run, Jackson, did he not see it? Because to me, it didn't seem like he was running full speed at that ball. Maybe he was like, it's early in the game, bases loaded, let's limit this to 1 here and not have this ball get past me, and then it's 3-0 possibly, or 2-0. But I feel like he could have went harder for that and dove. But I say that cautiously because Jackson's like the last guy I'm gonna want to. Him and Crony are like the 2 guys I'm not gonna want to question, like, their want for the ball, and I'm not really gonna question, like, should they should have dove for that ball. Why didn't they? Because they're not afraid to get dirty. Like, they really want it. But just, yeah, watching that live, I was like, and it wasn't the best angle. It was like the behind home view, but it did look like Jackson could have gotten a little bit closer to that ball because it did hang up there a little bit. But yeah, I mean, still, it obviously goes back to the offense. And that's going to be the big question. How are they going to fill this? Because first base right now, because let's assume that it's empty right now, right? Bogarts at short, Crony at second. Where's the power coming from? How about the catching position? How about left field? Are you going to get power there? Because is Ramon Laureano here? I don't know if he's. Maybe there's an option. I think there's an option. Okay, so they could have Ramon Laureano stay. Club option for 2026. So I'm obviously picking that up on the Padres and have him be my starting left fielder. But yeah, where's this power coming from? Because they need more of it. Like, Manny can provide it. Tatis, I'm not looking at the numbers, but it seems like he took a step back power-wise. So do we even consider him this power bat, or do we consider him just a really good baseball player? I mean, he hit 25 home runs this year, 125 OPS plus. So I think you can still consider him a power bat on this team. But when it comes to baseball, there are plenty of names that you think of before Fernando when it comes to power. He had the 40-plus homer season in 2021, and he's already talked about like how he was doing that with one arm. So I'm like, well, imagine when he's healthy. But power-wise, it just hasn't been the same. 97 RBIs in 2021 in 130 games. This year in 155 games, he had 71 RBIs with 25 home runs. So 17 less home runs, 26 less RBIs. He did steal more bases, but yeah. Is Tatis 2021 Tatis, or is the real Tatis more something like he did this year, where still 25 home runs? Like, yeah, you're going to take that, but you like the RBIs to be closer to 100. You'd like the on base. Actually, the on base was fine. You would like the OPS though to be like, of course, it's over 800, so still you're like, all right, but you'd like it to be closer to 900. But yeah, today it was disappointing watching him. Just he was antsy. He was excited to do some damage up there, and sometimes you got to let it come to you. And there were pitches that he probably regrets swinging at. Is that right? 3 for 26 with runners in scoring position in this series. Ridiculous. All right, I see over 600 comments in here, so it might take a little bit, but hey, the season's over, so I've got time. I'll be going through these. I'm sure there's a lot of Dodger fans because they don't have anything else better to do. It's not a Dodger show, but yeah, come on in. Shout out to the partners of the show that have been with me all season long, though. Gaglo & Bros, famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. Their main location is on Friars Road. I would really appreciate it if you stop by um, at some point here. Give them your support. Go get yourself a cheesesteak. Try to make yourself feel better. Um, they've been inside Petco Park for years. They're inside Snapdragon Stadium. So there's still San Diego sports going on here. I know the Padres season just ended, but SDFC is still in action. San Diego Waves still in action. So you can still go to Snapdragon for some fun sports here in San Diego. But yeah, this one's gonna sting. Breaking Tea, they've got Padres and Aztecs shirts and sweatshirts. Unfortunately, no cool postseason Breaking T-shirts will be made because there were no cool moment. Well, you could say like the Manny home run, but they didn't win the series, so it's not gonna have the same feeling to it. But there's some other cool shirts on there, so check them out. Link in the description. And SeatGeek code Talking Friars, $20 off your first order when you sign up with your email. All right, let's get to the chat here. Went over 30 minutes there, pretty much just giving my thoughts wherever it took me. A Dodger fan with a super chat. Thank you. Bye-bye, Sham Diego Madres fans. SD season done. And I think it's a laughing emoji. Yeah, it sucks. Seeing the Dodgers get the Reds. Now, they're going to have their hands full with the Phillies. They're not beating the Phillies, hopefully. But you look at them, and they've got Snell pitching well. They've got Yamamoto pitching well. They've got Sasaki in the bullpen. I know the rest of the bullpen's not great, but they've got Sasaki there. They've got Ohtani pitching game one. They obviously have talent on offense. It would have been much easier to watch that Dodgers-Phillies series if the Padres were playing, but they're not, and it stings, and I hate the Dodgers. So I'll probably be a huge Phillies fan during that series, but I don't know how locked in. I don't know how locked in I'm going to be. Um, Probably not going to be locked in on that Brewers Cubs series. Like I just when your team gets eliminated, you kind of just lose it. And especially like right now, I'm a big WNBA fan. Got to WNBA finals that are starting, I think, tomorrow. So I'm occupied there. I'll be focused on that. Obviously, there's SDFC, Wave. Uh, there's other sports on. I'm a baseball fan, so I'm going to watch, but it's tough to watch once your team's done. Anthony says no call, no show for Tatis. Padres mortgage their future. Okay, but like, would you rather hope that Leo DeVries is going to be great, or would you rather have one of the best relievers in baseball under control through 2029 and him throwing 104 and being a huge reason why you won that playoff game yesterday? You know, like this Padres window eventually is going to close here. The Manny, Xander, Tatis in their prime, or Manny Xander in their prime because Tatis is younger. But that's by the day that doesn't look better. So it's AJ Preller. Like you're trying to win right now, and there definitely was a window of opportunity to go do that. And unfortunately, some big time injuries happened, which did affect things for sure. But like, I'm never going to sit here and, especially as a San Diegan, I'm not going to sit here and be pissed off at a GM for trying to go win. In the moment, I didn't like that Leo DeVries got traded. I was like, yeah, better win a World Series. But that was me not knowing, Mason Miller's contract, what else was coming. Because at that time, we didn't know that the rest of the holes were going to be filled and with what players and how those players were going to perform in a Padres uniform. So when you have the context there, and then you look back and you're not as emotional and reactionary about it, you sit there and you're like, we've never won a World Series. As a San Diegan, how am I going to be mad at AJ trying to win? Right? And that's what he's done. Is he's trying to win. So, like AJ, and this is something that I feel like people forget as well. AJ Preller and his people believe that they're the best at scouting. And they can trade Leo DeVries because guess what? He's just going to bring in another Leo DeVries. We've seen it before. It could be pitchers. Yeah, we're just going to bring another one in, whether it be internationally or through the draft. Like, we'll bring another one in. It's a piece to the puzzle. We're going to bring another guy in. And they're confident in their ability to do that. And what matters the most is how the big league product does. And all AJ can do is put them in the best spot to go win a World Series. With limitations, by the way, because we know there have been limitations. So I'd rather the Padres mortgage their future, and I'm saying this in air quotes for the podcast audience, mortgage their future, because the future is not mortgaged, because there's going to be a future, because there's always talent that gets brought into this Padres farm system, always. And who knows what Leo DeVries is going to turn into. He could end up being great in a Hall of Fame. Padres have Hall of Famers on their team right now, at least one, on the position player side. So how about trying to win while you have that, instead of maybe this guy will turn into a Hall of Famer. Let's not go get one of the best relievers in baseball to improve our chances of winning now for all the fans that show up every day and sell at the ballpark. Let's hold on. Like, come on. I didn't hit on Darvish very much. Yeah, he obviously didn't pitch as well as he wanted to, and it was a pretty short hook, which is what it should have been with Schilt today. That second inning comes and he gets through the first, single to Kyle Tucker, double Seiya Suzuki, and then he hits Carson Kelly. So it's bases loaded, and then, meatball to Pete Armstrong, and he singles up the middle, and that's it. Like, you could have ended it after the Carson Kelly hit by pitch to have someone else go face PCA. But it also, I don't remember what it looked like there. Was Jeremiah Estrada ready, and they just chose to go with Darvish still? Was Estrada not ready yet? I would think, like in a winner take all, you have someone warming up pretty much the entire game. But we're not in that bullpen, so we don't really know. And Estrada came in, and like, what would have happened if Estrada would have pitched to PCA? Would PCA have hit a bomb? Would PCA have walked? Because Estrada came in and didn't throw his fastball, and then walked Dansby Swanson with the bases loaded anyway. So, yeah. JD Star with the super chat. Thank you for his support all season long. Ben, it ain't working with AJ. Theo Epstein can break the San Diego curse. 12 years of AJ is enough. But here's the thing. The whole Theo Epstein thing, I don't know why that's even a possible. Like, why are you putting that in the universe? That's just not going to happen. 12 years of AJ is enough. I mean, years ago, I could have said, like, it's time to move on. But the way things are right now, if you bring in another GM, like, how is that going to even go? I can't imagine another person running this team. I just, yeah. How is that going to go? Another person comes in here. Are they going to draft as well as AJ drafts? No. Are they going to identify talent before the deadline and make those bold moves as well as AJ does? No. Year in, year out, the Padres are going to have a great bullpen. They're going to have that with this new GM that comes in. It's a guarantee with AJ. It's not a guarantee with whoever you like. Who are you going to bring in where you're like, yep, that's obviously better than AJ? He is obviously better. He is obviously going to put us in a better spot year in, year out to go win. If the Padres have that answer and that person is willing to come in, then okay. But me sitting here right now, I don't have another name for you. That's realistic. Where I'm like, yep, he's better than AJ. I just don't. Juan says AJ needs to fire Mike Schilt. But why? Back-to-back 90-win seasons. First time in franchise history. Players love Mike Schilt. Have there been moves that I disagree with? Sure. But when it comes down to it, was Mike Schilt the reason why the Padres lost this series? No. The offense didn't score enough runs. JD's third says, give Theo minority ownership and he's in. Isn't he a minority owner of the Red Sox already? I thought I saw that he joined either the Red Sox ownership group or the Henry ownership group that does the Red Sox and Liverpool, Fenway Sports Group, whatever it's called. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. Remy says, can't wait until DeVries turns into Aaron Judge. We don't know that. And again, I'd rather swing and miss than not swing. AJ Preller at least swings, and he tries to win. Someone says losing in the playoffs is more respectable, but always getting bounced in the wild card games is effed. LOL. Always getting bounced in the wild card. Were they bounced in the wild card last year? How about 2022? How about 2020? This is literally the first time they've been bounced in the wild card. So I don't know what the heck you're talking about. So that comment doesn't make sense. Yeah, there's a lot of Dodger fans in here. Interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing comments about, oh, they sold the future for this. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. You know that you have an opportunity to win now. So try to go win now. All this talk about, oh, the future, the future, the future. Whether it's the Soto trade, whether it's the Darvish trade, whether it's the Mason Miller trade, like whatever trade we're talking about here, there's always a bright future under AJ Preller when it comes to the farm system. Like every year, I don't care what rankings have to say. I'm talking about people in baseball want AJ Preller's prospects every year. So what does that tell you? That he's good at identifying talent to bring into this farm system. And these guys can continue to be developed. And even if they don't make it to the big leagues, they can help you win in the big leagues by going to other teams and those other teams wanting those guys because they're good enough and you get that major league talent back. Like nothing in the future is guaranteed. Go take these opportunities now. What does Manny Machado think about the future? What does the 85-year-old Padres fan that hasn't experienced a World Series title in their life, what do they think of the future? Right? What are your family members that are older than you? What do they think? Oh, let's wait for the future. No. They're seeing playoff teams year in and year out. They're seeing a future Hall of Famer on our team. No, you try to go win right now. And again, I respect that. That's AJ Preller's mindset. And he can't control that Nando wasn't great in this series. That the top three in the lineup went 0 for today. That injuries happened. Like things are out of your control. All you can do is just do your best at your job. And whatever happens, happens. Richard, he is a Dodger fan, but I do see him in the comments a lot. So thank you, Richard. He says, too many injuries to your starting rotation. Manny and Tatis just killed you this series. AJ did everything he needed to do at the trade deadline. It's time for your team to take a hard look at the roster. Yes. I mean, that's look at that. A Dodger fan actually making sense. Thank you. Too many injuries to the no Joe Musgrove. Michael King, obviously, with the amount of time that he missed, and then he only throws one inning in this postseason series. Darvish, with the time that he missed. Yeah, would have loved to have Joe. Would have loved to have Joe. That's a positive of next year is that we can get Joe Musgrove back. Because it has sucked not being able to watch that guy pitch. I miss that guy. Yeah, Manny and Tatis did kill the Padres this series. I know Manny with the home run yesterday, but it's a series. It's not about just one game and what you did in one game. And you're right, Richard. AJ did everything he needed to do. After that, you can't control it. Michael says Pete Alonso's available next year, Ben. That goes back to ownership. Do they want to spend money? Are they willing to spend money? Or do they want to put limitations on their GM and make it harder for him to build a championship caliber roster? Hosmer's contract, I think, is officially off the books, so that's good. And then Cease's money if he doesn't come back, King's money if he doesn't come back, Ariza's money if he doesn't come back. So there's going to be some flexibility. Although Pivetta, I think, is going to be making more next year. Who brought in Pivetta, Preller? Someone says Padres ticket prices are low for a reason. Nobody would buy if they were selling that at a premium. I don't know what you're seeing, but Padres ticket prices are not low. Kirsten says Scott Service should take over. I mean, I like that he's in the organization, but I'm fine with Mike Schill as the manager. Hire a new hitting coach. How many times have the Padres tried hiring a new hitting coach? Like, we're just going to keep doing that every year, every couple years? That's the problem. I mean, maybe they would do it because it's back-to-back postseasons of disappointing offensive displays, but there's also been moments where there's been really good offense, and then there's hitters that have praised Victor Rodriguez. So, yeah, I don't know about the whole hire a new hitting coach thing. If I won't have as strong of a feeling on it, like if they fired Victor Rodriguez, I wouldn't be as pissed as if they fired AJ. But we're more knowledgeable about what happens with AJ because he's the GM, so it's moves that he makes. With Victor Rodriguez, like there's so much behind the scenes stuff that goes on in that clubhouse and on road trips and personal conversations between hitting coach and players. Like we don't even know a little bit. I mean, we barely know anything about what Victor Rodriguez actually does and the actual impact that he has on these players. So for me, I just don't have as strong of a feel on that. On like, yep, go get a new hitting coach. Ocean View Coffee Shop says so much pain. Yeah, it's painful. I mean, I just I wouldn't say numb. I'm just kind of like a little speechless. Well, I just have been talking for like an hour, but hopefully you get what I mean when I say I'm kind of speechless. It's just it happened again with the offense just not coming through enough. And I didn't expect to be in this spot. I didn't. I thought the Padres were going to win this series at least in 3 games, and they, I'd have faith that they'd be able to go knock off the Brewers in the division series. Jamie says it's always the umpire's fault. I'm not saying it's always the umpire's fault, but the umpire has some fault. He effed up a call that changed the inning with the Padres season on the line. I think it's okay to bring that up. Yeah, bases loaded, nobody out, which is what it should have been in that last inning. What if? Mike says Manny's post-game interview was 10 minutes of cliches. Yeah, probably. But also, like, what do you want these guys to say? I haven't watched it, but what do you want these guys to say? I'm sure there were answers about the offense and why do you think this happened and how do you feel and all that. What do you want? Like, these guys are devastated. You know, the amount of hours that they put into this, it's not a regular job. The amount of time on the road, how much they care, and then it all comes down to this, and boom, it's over. I agree, Jack. Last year, he says, this is probably a Dodger fan. Last year was your chance. Um, yeah, that's what it seems like. That was their best chance. Someone says calling it here. Whoever wins Dodgers Phillies wins it all. I agree at this point. Yeah, I mean, Yankees Red Sox are on right now. I don't think Detroit or Cleveland has what it takes to win it all. Seattle maybe, but yeah, Dodgers Phillies. I definitely agree right now. Whoever wins that, it's going to be the 2025 or the 2024 Padre Dodger NLDS all over again. Whoever wins that wins the World Series. Chat in the chat here says they are who we thought they were. Denny Green. Yeah, a team that has talent, but just not good enough offensively. What I will say with all these Dodger fans, like I expect there to be trolling because I love doing it on social media. Um, it's a back and forth thing. Like I hate Dodger fans, so and they obviously have more success than the Padres. So when they do not have success, it's funny to you know to troll a little bit, and that's who I am. Like I'm I'm sarcastic. I troll. It's fun. So you guys trolling back, totally fine. Um, the name calling though, that's a little bit different. That's where it's like, all right. So I just wanted to say that here because I do see it on social media. I do see it in comments, and that's where it's like that's where you don't need to do that. Trolling, like people saying in here, "What time's your game tomorrow?" Stuff like that. Okay, that's totally fine, you know. But name calling, you don't need to do that. All right, I'm just going through the chat here, see if there's anything else to bring up. Sorry, guys. There's hundreds of comments, so it takes some time to scroll through these. Henry says Tingler and Melvin smiling tonight. Is Melvin smiling? I mean, he just lost his job, the job that he wanted while he was the Padres manager. So I don't know. And Tingler might be ready in the future to be a big league manager, but we all know he wasn't the guy at that point in time. And then people in the comments saying 2020 counts about Padres being bounced. That was in the division series. Ding dongs. They beat the Cardinals in the wild card series. Like there was a comment earlier about the Padres being bounced every year in the wild card series. I'm like, literally, this is the first time they've been bounced in the wild card series. Sorry, Dodger fans and facts. Sometimes that doesn't line up. All right, I think that's going to do it. I'm not seeing other comments that I want to bring up here. What I will say to end this, thank you everyone for the support, Padres fans all season long. Those in the comments, those on social media. Um, Obviously, this wouldn't be what it is without you guys. Like it would just be some random dude talking. So I appreciate it. Those Dodger fans that come in here, like I still appreciate you too. But like again, the trolling or like there are Dodger fans that come in here and they have good comments as well. So I appreciate you, like anyone that comes in here and is reasonable and you know respectful and all that. Like thank you for that. And yeah, I appreciate the support. Obviously, wish that this season would have ended differently. Um, too short, too short of a season. But there were some enjoyable moments and not enjoyable moments like today. But you know, just gotta hope that next year is gonna be better because there's still talent on this team. If AJ Preller stays, like we know that there's going to be a GM that is going to put this Padres team in contention. This Padres team is still going to be interesting, like they've been every season. And so it's going to be fun to talk about in the offseason. Once we get over this and once the World Series champ is named and we can kind of just move on, it'll be fun to talk about the offseason and possible moves, right? And spring training will be around the corner. And then the regular season, we'll have baseball again every night. But right now it stings, and it's supposed to sting because like we love this so much. We're there, night in night out watching this team. They're a big part of our lives, and when they come up short like this, it hurts. But one day, just gotta hope that you gotta keep the faith. I know I'm saying that, but I'm not really feeling that right now. But it's because it sucks. It's because I think a lot of people were thinking that this season was not going to end now. It was going to end in the future. At some point down the line, like this team was too talented to just lose in the wild card series. But the other team on the other side, the Cubs, they took advantage of some opportunities the Padres gave them, and they're going to be facing the Brewers in the next round. And the Padres are now going to have a long off season to think about what went wrong, what can they do. These big guys, how can they get better so that they can be in a better spot come October of next year? But yeah, this freaking sucks. But thank you for the support. And there will be off-season content, obviously. I don't know what the next thing's going to be for me, but I appreciate you all and have a good night.